Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. This is the daily chart provided by netdania.com. You can click on the link below. You can see that we have broken down beneath one of the critical trend lines, and we're now approaching the long-term trend line at 25, and then ultimately, if we continue down, we're going to reach the long-term support at around 21.2. Now, one anomaly that stands out, first of all, is that this is on virtually no volume. Now, this may be related to the fact that we've rolled out into the March contract, although we should have already rolled out to the March contract when the December contract expired a while ago. So I cannot account for the lack of volume. That may just be an anomaly on NetDania's site. Now, the next view I want to take you to is the weekly view. You can see that the long-term weekly trend line is down here around 25. That's going to be our key point next to the key point of ultimate support, which is going to be the top that we set at the Bear Stearns crisis. So we're looking to buy physical silver. We're expecting some type of violent reversal, something like this when it does come, but we don't know where it's going to come. We have to gauge the bottom. As I've said before, the numismatics is one way to gauge the bottom. I covered the 2012 Somali elephant series. When I got up this morning, there was nearly 2,000 of them. They were all gone. I was actually thinking about buying some, but obviously someone snapped them up. So this is an opportunity to stack physical silver, and with the numismatics, normally I've found in the past, and obviously whoever snapped up those 2012 Somali elephants, you probably won't see that coin again. That's been my experience in the past, that when they're gone, and you don't see them again. So now I've taken a lot of heat for my recommendation of the numismatics. I only recommend numismatics that are just slightly above the spread that's on the other coins. The eagles and the maples, they have a decent spread of a couple bucks, and when you have these other ones by the Perth and the others that are just maybe 50 cents or a buck more, there's no reason why you can't go for the numismatic protection. A lot of the people are feeling the heat, especially the people who bought on this dip and some of the other dips, and that's the name of the game. The name of the game is to shake you out. A bull market is going to do everything it can do to shake you out, to convince you that it's a bear market. You're going to hear people tell you silver's going to $10, silver's going to $5. I couldn't imagine a better thing than silver going to $5 or $10. I would literally mortgage my house. But this is the type of thing that happens in bull markets and the corrections that you get in bull markets, and this is where you separate the men from the boys. The people who really understand and really believe the fundamental story are buying hand over fist. Now, I wanted to take a look at the coins that are available. As I said, on APMEX, the Somali elephants are gone. A lot of the other ones are gone. So for APMEX, I'm going to have to say that my favorite on APMEX is going to be this Olympic National Park coin. They have 800 of these left. These are 5-ounce coins. You can see you're getting a beautiful, I don't really like the Washington quarter side, but the other side you're getting a stunning, beautiful coin that is one of the best designs I've ever seen. And it is 5 ounces of silver, and you can get this coin for under $150. That's under 30 bucks. And with spot trading at around 27, we're talking about only a $3 premium on this coin. When you come down to the ounces, you're only talking about less than $1. So this is an incredible buy, and I don't think it's going to last. So that's what I'm looking at on APMEX. Now, I wanted to explain real quickly. I've had a lot of people comment about how, and I did cover Scottsdale Silver recently and mentioned them, but the reason why I cover what I call the big three, which are going to be, at least I found, if you found others, I welcome you to send me that information so I can cover them. But the big three are APMEX, Gainesville Coins, and Provident Metals. Now the reason why I say that, and Tolving of course, but that's for the big players. Those four are four that I know of that actually adjust their prices live time based upon the current COMEX price. Now we're looking at the potential disconnect between the COMEX price. If you remember my coverage of the MF Global story, you remember that I mentioned that it's possible that we may see a destruction of the hedging capabilities of these coin dealers. Remember, these dealers have to hedge because it's quite possible that they picked up these numismatic coins at a higher price. So the only way they can keep from taking a loss is to actually go short the futures. If they're short the futures and their account blows up, like MF Global, then they're at a loss. So the big three, the top three that I have right now, if you know of others, let me know, or the top four actually, are going to be Tolving, APMEX, Gainesville Coins, and Provident Metals. They actually adjust their prices in real time so that you can react to these price moves and lock in a price. Now, the next one is going to be Gainesville, and I've done a search for silver based on the low price, and there's not a lot of numismatics here. One that jumped out at me that I just saw for the first time, you can see for $28 you can pick up this 2012 Dragon round. So these dragons that were so hard to get from the Perth Mint, obviously this coin is not at all the level of artistic ability that is in the Perth. I don't know who makes this round, but they are offering this round at basically spot at 28 bucks. So I would definitely, well, we're current spot's 27.03, so we're at 28.02. We're less than $1. We're 99 cents over spot. So I don't know who makes this round. I don't even know what's on the other side. There's the other side. And it doesn't say who the mint is that makes this. So that might be a kind of numismatic gamble. I can't say for sure. The next one is going to have to be the Buffalo round. The Buffalo round is now 27.70, and that is basically getting it at spot. The Buffalo rounds don't change, so it's based upon the beautiful Buffalo nickel, and it is a beautiful design, but it is a round, so the numismatic possibilities are slim on this one. But if you like stacking the most silver for your money, that's going to be one that you want to look at. The next one I want to cover is going to be Provident, and they're the third one that adjust their prices. Now there's a lot of these fractional rounds. You can see that the 1/10 ounce, which is kind of interesting that we'd see such a thing, but I think when silver finally does make its run up to the next level in highs, maybe we will go to 1/4 ounce and 1/10 ounce. So this is done in order of how cheap they are. You've got these Mexican pesos, a 1968 coin. I don't know what the percentage of silver is on those. That looks interesting. You've got this 1/2 ounce. That's a little bit high. You've always got the silver, junk silver, and you have to remember that when you're looking at junk silver, it's 90% silver. So when you're looking at a $1,000 bag, you're looking at 715. I'm sorry, $1,000 face value bag, you're looking at 715 ounces. So you have to do the math. That's on my blog. The koala is gone. There are some walking libs. So I don't really have a specific pick on on Provident. It looks like the Morgans are fairly cheap. So there's a lot of things for you who want to do kind of a numismatic play. Well, this rabbit, it's actually a ½ ounce. So there's really not a lot there. You can get the maple leaf. You're talking 29, so you're more than $2 above spot. And that's pretty much it. So the coins are disappearing. I think as the price, you can see the cougars are gone. As the price continues to fall, if it continues to fall, and I really don't have anything to go on now because I don't have any volume information to go on. But if the price continues to fall, then I believe you're going to see most of the physical silver evaporate. And I do believe, I honestly believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that this is the final Smackdown. This is going to be the last one where we possibly get a complete disconnect between the physical and the COMEX price. And COMEX price, some have said, can go to 0 and there will be no physical available. So you have to keep stacking. We're looking for good deals, but again, when the deals start to run out, you just have to get what's available. So let's go over to the Blogroll. Now, was very active today. I wanted to jump down to a story that, well, I didn't break the story, but the story broke today, and it caused my blog to explode. And this was the story of Bank of NY Mellon. And this is a story where, and this is the one that blew up on my blog, is that I covered that the SLV trustee, if you remember the document, and I link this down here in this PDF, the 3 players involved in the SLV are JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Bank of NY Mellon. Now these stories broke today on the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, that this trustee of the SLV is now being prosecuted for potential fraud against pensioners. So there's just a huge issue there, and the question is, if this is the trustee of the SLV and they are being looked at by regulators and state prosecutors for fraud, what do you think the chances are that the Bank of NY Mellon has accurately controlled the amount of silver in this SLV trust? I don't know. That's a speculation. So let's go to the top of the Blogroll. There's a lot to cover here. The top story that I've got here, the last one I posted, is Stephen Molyneux on Free Domain Radio, and the story is American detention has nothing to do with the war on terror, and I absolutely believe that he is correct. I actually think, and I'll probably be pilloried for saying this, but I actually think that preparing for martial law is probably something that is necessary, just because if you believe, as I believe, that the money is gone and there's coming a day when it just goes poof, and they announce the bank holidays and they let people know that everything they counted on and everything they depended on and everything they trusted was a lie, then I think there will be a large number of people in the nation who become violent. Now, I do not ever advocate violence. I'm a Christian pacifist. I don't believe in violence, and I certainly believe that you should obey the government. That's my religious belief, so I would recommend that for you. So I don't recommend anyone be involved in any sort of violent protests against the government. I think if you look back on the civil rights movement in this country under Martin Luther King and the successful expulsion of the British Empire out of India Those were both peaceful movements, but I think the government is probably fairly well warranted and aware of the fact that there may be significant violence. Of course, I don't agree with these things. I'm just saying that I believe that he is correct in saying that they are expecting significant civil unrest in this country when they finally announce that the jig is up, the game is over, and there aren't enough chairs when the music stops. So that's that story. I highly recommend you watch that. Here's another article I posted on the Golden Couch. It's about how the gold investors need to wait and just sit tight. The latest Bob Chapman. We've got a map I did. This is about a story of potentially, in my opinion, potentially World War III. I certainly hope not, but if you look at the map, you can see that Iran is basically surrounded by U.S. military bases. Iran, for some reason, has threatened the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States has responded with semi-belligerent language saying that that will not be permitted. So I hope we're not looking at World War III in the Middle East, but it is starting to look like the case. Now, here's a story I did on the New York Bank of Mellon story. This is about how, at the same time that Bank of Mellon is coming under scrutiny by the feds and state prosecutors, that someone touted the story of how they give their money to the youth. So, as they're taking money from the pensioners, apparently, that's alleged that they're taking money from pensioners, they're distributing to the youth. The next story is another Bank of New York Mellon story saying hit the panic button, and that is, I believe that is from the Wall Street Journal. The next story is a post from Ranting Andy where he clarifies more of his views about what's going on. Of course, the Patriot Radio News Hour. The initial story about, that's the second story about Bank of New York Mellon, and this one was, I believe this one is the New York Times. No, that's a London Daily Telegraph. And there's Street Money 21's latest video where he details some of the shenanigans that are going on. And here's the original story on the SLV trustee Bank of New York Mellon. I list the three players, the key players in the SLV, JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Bank of New York Mellon. The story itself, and then there's the iShares Silver Trust that explains who the players are, and I've linked that PDF. And then there's my silver shenanigans report when I first discovered and exposed some of the players involved. There's the latest interview with James Turk. It's on King World News. It is not embedded MP3 due to I'm not wanting to violate the rules over at King World News. So if you click the picture, you'll go straight over to King World News. And they've given me permission to do this, so I will go ahead and cover other King World News stories based on this model, but they won't be streamed. The next article is COMEX futures are showing extremely bullish levels, and there's a chart here. This is from Got Gold Report. Very interesting article. This is an article that is about the debt. If you remember the debt ceiling debate back in the summer, it was a hot topic, and now they're telling us they need another $1.5 trillion before the end of the year. This article is on the Fed's covert bailout of Europe. I highly recommend you investigate that. And this is an article that I did on the drama about the debt, which basically nothing has been done. We've got Gerald Celenti's 12 trends for 2012 and my initial coverage of this silver smackdown that began this morning with my link to the 90% silver bags. And this is an article from Econ Matters, and this is about the debt situation in Japan, which, if you go through these figures on this chart, apparently is actually worse than even the United States and Europe. So that's the blog roll for tonight. All the silver stackers that still believe in the story are looking for deals, and Hopefully you can find some deals. I'm very upset that I didn't grab some timber wolves and some grizzlies, and now that they've disappeared, I'm sad that I haven't picked up the Somali elephants 2012. Hopefully APMEX will get those back, but I certainly can't guarantee that. So we will follow tomorrow, and we may have more downside action. 25 is the next price target, and we'll talk to you next time.